Hello everyone, welcome to the project Password Manager. Now, let us see the problem statement of this project. In the real world, the only threat to us is the posed by the criminals residing in our area. But in the digital world, one would be prone to the threat by any person who resides millions of kilometers away. So, in this digital era, our lives are the finance and the biodata, everything is being digitalized through electronic media and internet. So, this makes us more vulnerable than ever. So, this makes the cyber attacks more and more. So most of the people that are frequently prone to cyber attacks are the ones who aren't aware about importance of having a stronger password. Having a name without any other special characters could easily be hacked by the hackers. So common attacks strategies used by hackers as a password is guessing attack. So by using hacking tools such as brute force algorithms where it tries each and every character in the 26 alphabets. So later, a fully efficient computer using the hacking tools can try out thousands of passwords per second. So we should maintain at least a special character, a uppercase and lowercase letters, which makes more time to crack the password. So the application creates an awareness among the users about the importance of having a stronger password and to store these passwords, thereby making it easy for the user to retrieve information from a database instead of remembering each and every password. Now let us talk about applications and scenarios of this project. Most of the users who claim that they have been robbed were found that they have created passwords that just happen to have alphabets which commonly turn out to be their names or dictionary words, mobile numbers or digits entered sequentially, less characters less than 8, etc. Every year, millions of dollars were being washed away towards the hackers due to the people's negligence towards the security. In our application, we help the user in creating a password that isn't complicated enough to remember and at the same time good enough making it possible for the hackers to crack it. So we also suggest passwords based on the phrases given by the user, which could help the user to set a good password automatically without putting a lot of effort. Along with this creation, we even store the login credentials given by the user that are secured in our database file. We can be using the access the information anytime whenever it's needed. So we are going to create a passcode for this application, so only the user having the passcode can avail the services. So the tech stack involved in this project are Python, PyQt5 and DBMS, and PyQt5 is used for creating applications, mostly GUIs known as graphical user interface, and DBMS is well known as database management system. Now coming to sample input and output, you can see that this is how the GUI looks. So whenever user enters his name and password, if the password strength is less than the suggested, so by using the keyword option, he can just give his keywords, and I mean the phrases which he frequently use, and will suggest few passwords which have more strength and takes more time to crack. So this is the GUI and the appearance of the GUI with the password manager security. Now let us wrap up this session by saying thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to the project Password Manager. Let us start our project by designing the GUI of the application. So open Qt Designer application and you can see a pop-up stating template/forms. So click on main window and click on create. Now you can see a empty screen has been created and named as main window untitled. So main window acts as a placeholder for all the widgets that we are going to use. So I'll classify this Qt Designer by saying what properties are in this Qt Designer. So let us start from the left side of the panel window, that is widget box. So it has a great collection of widgets such as layouts, spaces, buttons, item views, and many. And on the right side, you can see it has been divided into Object Inspector and Property Editor. See, basically, Object Inspector is where if you add any button, I mean any widget component, it'll it'll add into the Object Inspector, so we can have a view how many widgets we are going to use, and we can also rename the object names here. And let us come to the property editor. In the property editor, you can change the font size, the font, and make it bold, and you can change any of the font stylings, and basically it acts as a style sheet of a widget. So now let us start our project by designing a title for our project. So for making a title, we need a label. Label is a uneditable text where user can't interact with the label, so it can't be edited. So let us start our application by giving a title to it. So our title will be as password manager. So write that as password. Now that we created a label, you can also see in the object inspector it has been created. Now let us add a background color to it by adding a frame that is in containers. So you can go to containers and you can find a frame and place on it. You can see that, and you can also resize any widget by just resizing this. Now if you want to add background to a label, add a frame and right click on it, and you can see a change style sheet option, and click on add color and click on background color. So you can have a great collection of color palette, and you can select any of the color. In this case I'm using black, and you can see that I'm applying the changes, and you can see it has been applied. So now let us add the color to the label. So same, right click on it, change style sheet option, add color to the background, and click on yellow, make it apply. Done. Now place it on the frame and resize the frame and place it on the top. Now let us add some font and make it font big. So let us make the font 30, and we'll make it bold. You can see that the changes have been applied. So resize the widget, resize the label too. Now let us start labeling the input widgets that we are going to take from the user. So in this project we are going to have 6 labels and 6 text edits or line edits. So basically line edit acts as a user where user can interact with it and give the text or remove the text from it. So let us add a line edit. So let us add by line edit. We will be needing 6 line edits and 4 for the input, and the other will be for it. Has our project has been divided into 2 sections where user can retrieve data and user can store the data. So we will be dividing this GUI by 2 phases, like we will be giving a partition, and so other 2 line edits will be using where in the search. I'll show you one by one. And for this 4 line edits we need 4 labels. Now let us add a push button so that end user can fill the details and click on the push button so that we can retrieve text from it. And as I told you, we'll be dividing into 2 sections. So let us add a vertical line that can be found in display widgets. Make 2 lines. So let us name our label names. So First one will be the username. So write it as username. The next one will be password. Next one will be the website, the keyword. Name this button as submit. Now let us change this fonts. Hit 14 to 16 or 12 of your choice. Hit 12. Same for the website. For the keyword. Yeah. Now let us make our text bold. Now we have completed the part of submit button, so let us keep for search. So again we will be needing two more labels, two more line edits. Yeah. So let us rename the label names by website name as passcode. Now let us add a new widget called text edit, where a paragraph or a big text where you can see in line edit only one line of edit text can be added, but in a line edit you can add a paragraph. So we will be displaying our output in this text edit. So let us create another push button for search. So here we are. Think that's it. So GUI is done. So let us jump to the coding part. Now that we are done with designing the GUI of the application, let us save the file by hitting Ctrl S and save the file as password.ui and make a directory so that we can pass every file to that one directory, and we can use that when we are creating a database. So let us save this file and open command prompt or your choice of editor, so that will convert this .ui file to .py file. Now let us write the command to convert the .ui file created. Will convert it to .py file. Sorry. So Python pyuic5 -x. The file name in my case is password.ui, and we need to convert this file as output file name as. It is also of your choice, so make it as password.py. Hit enter. So you can see that it went to the next line so that there are no errors. So let us run the file by, you can see the password.py file has been created in my directory. Let us run this file. Now you can see that it gave the GUI as an output. So now let us test whether the GUI is working or not. It's taking the inputs. Yeah, but the submit buttons and the search buttons are not working. So to make it work, we need to add some functionalities to the submit and search button. So let us start coding the submit and search buttons in the .py file that we have created now. Now that we are done with converting the .ui file to .py file, let us start giving some functionalities to the submit and search button. So to give some functionalities, we need to connect the submit button to a function. So first we'll connect the button. So this command says .push button .clicked connect. Clicked connect is used to connect a function and to the button name push button. So same for the self.search. We are connecting the search function that we are going to write now is being connected to push button underscore 2. So now let us write the function f submit right set and print clicked. Same for the search. Right clicked search. Here clicked. Now you can see that. Let us run the application and see whether clicked submit and clicked search are coming in the GUI, in the output screen. Now let us click submit. See, let us click search. You can see that in the command prompt we are getting the outputs at clicked submit and click. Now let us include some more features and get some input from the user and print it in the command line. Now let us get the input from the user by using self.lineEdit and self.lineGetText. So basically we have four labels. As I told you before, lineEdit is given for the username and lineEdit underscore 2 is given for the pass. Basically pass means password, web's website, and key is the keyword that we're going to use while generating passwords. Let us say what is .text. Text is basically to retrieve text from the user input screen. So now let us print user web key. Let us see and run whether the output is coming whenever we print this. Now let us see and give some inputs and we'll see whether it's printing in the command line or not. Give password as some PC as. So let us submit this. You can see that it worked. It came Raj, ABC, and Facebook and Def. So you can see that we are now able to retrieve text from the user input screen. So now we can do the same for the search button as well as. So let us do for the submit button. So in the submit button we are only going to have two text fields. So let us give them names as. So let us give the names as PAZ and WE. Basically WE stands for website and PAZ is for the passcode. So let us retrieve the text by using .text and print whether it is coming on. So let us again run the application. Now let us check site passcode will keep some text and passcode. Let's click the search button. See, boom, it's working. Text comma web. Now we'll check both while giving the submit and the user. Just give ABC. Let's click submit. See, it worked. You can see that it also gave ABCD as the output. I'll increase. I can see that it also gave ABCD and text and web at the same screen. So both the submit button and search buttons are working now. So let us give some more functionalities by get by reading the inputs and giving some conditions to it. Now, before moving to the coding part of the submit and search button, let us establish a connection between the GUI and the SQLite database. So, to create a SQLite database, initially we need to import SQLite 3, and then we need to create a database which holds n number of tables. So, to create a database, we need to write SQLite3.connect and write the database.SQLite. After that, we need to create dot cursor to point out each time in the table where we are going to add values. As I told you, database is a collection of tables. Now let us create a table on the password SQLite database. We'll create a database name as password and table name as pass. So in the pass, we need to have some columns. As a table, we have columns and rows. And the same proceeds in the database also. So in this format, we'll create a table in the database named password. So we need to write create table name, and column names and the data types that we are going to use. Varchar represents both numerical and string data types. So we are going to create three columns that are user, pass and web. User name and password and the website name. So as we are dealing with the password manager, we are going to need three columns, and these three play a vital role while fetching data and inserting data. So let us insert some random values like Raj as the username, password as, and the website name Facebook. Just run this and see whether it saves the changes or not. See, it went to the next line, so there are no mistakes. Now let us see what happened in a database. Now you can see that. Let us see whether when we execute a command, select star from pass. Now let us print the output. So before printing the output, we need to fetch the data and store in a variable. So for fetching data, we will use a command called fetch all. So cur.fetchAll helps us to fetch the data from the database. So let us print the answer variable. Some Oh, it worked. So you can see that Yuvraj ABC Facebook and has been stored in a form of array. So this is how you store the values and retrieve data. In the 8th line, we have insert the values, and the 9th line we are calling all the values in a database to print in a form of array. So star helps us to indicate all the columns to be printed in a certain variable. So now let us see if we name a website name, and we need to get the output as username and the password. So what I am saying is basically we are going to only pass Facebook, not as all the columns. So if we pass Facebook, we need to get Yuvraj and ABC. Let us try that. Just name the website name as Facebook, and let us execute select star from pass where web equals to Facebook. So we are going to pass w as a variable in form of an array to fetch the data and store in a variable. So let us again print the output. Boom, it again worked. You can see that I only passed w as the website column name, only Facebook, but it gave the output of Yuvraj, ABC and Facebook. This is how you retrieve the whole data by only passing the column name. Now we'll use this functionalities of this database and we'll add to this the submit and search buttons in our database by creating a connectivity to the GUI. So let us see while we create a database, and before that we'll be importing few important modules such as SQLite, few widgets that we are going to use now, like to hide a password we should never show our password, so we need to hash the password with star marks. So to do that we need to import queue application, queue widgets, and queue push button and queue message box. These widgets contain the ability to make the password uneditable, I mean to hash the password to stars so that it is not visible to the user. Now let us add the hashing technique for converting the password to star marks while we are writing the password in the GUI. So to do that we need to use set echo mode. It's a syntax which is used to convert to stars. So we need to perform this for a line edit, so we need to import the line edits from qtWidgets.queueLineEdit.password. So this makes our GUI more interactive with the user. When he's writing the password it will be safeguarded. So we have two password columns, so we need to use for the both line edits. So one is for password and one is for line edit which we created for passcode. So passcode is used to encrypt the GUI when like no one can use the GUI without the permission, I mean without the password. So we need to use a passcode also. So that we created in the line edit 6. Now let us check whether it's working or not. You can see that I have given, you can see the password. See, it's giving in asterisk marks, I mean stars. This is how you encode the password and make it not visible to the user whenever is typing, so no intruder can see the password. So on the same way as I told you about the passcode, we can also do the same. I can also see that same thing happen. Now let us print. While printing, how will it print in the command line? Let us print. See, it's working. So I have gave in the column of search button I have given ABCDF, and in the submit button I gave HHH. So now you can see that you can also encode the hashed one to the normal text, this PyQt5. So let us include this functionalities in the submit button, so then we can easily use this operations and make the password more, I mean make the password more safeguarded from the vulnerables. Now that we are done with the setup of the database, let us know more about this project by adding few security features to the user while storing the password and retrieving them. So when user wants to create a password for a website and store, he needs to follow few important rules such as length of the password should be greater than 8 and it should contain at least one uppercase and lowercase followed by a special character and numbers, and adding these helps the user to safeguard him from the hackers. And after this, following the set of rules only, it allows the user to store the password in the database. And if the user faces difficulty to create a password, we also have two additional features where user can choose a keyword which is of frequently used words in his daily life. So we can generate a random password using the keyword, or in such a case where he don't have any keyword like that, we'll also suggest few random passwords, so which also bypasses all the set of rules that we are going to keep like uppercase and lowercase. So this this is the flowchart of our project. Now let us integrate with the search and submit button in our code. Before moving to the coding part, let me explain you how to implement this algorithm in the coding part. So basically we'll be initializing 5 boolean variables that are of length of password, uppercase, lowercase, and special character and number. So we will be initializing this all as boolean variables, and we'll check if all the things change to boolean true, then only it will go to the submit button. So let us start the code. I can see that. Let us see. Before we have before, by using the .text command, we extracted a text from the user. So let us implement the algorithm by using the boolean variables. Now, as I told you before, we will be using boolean variables like, so hash num says whether hash num is a variable that take cares about it is having the number or not, and hash up says is it having a uppercase, and hash low sees lowercase, and hash special looks about any special characters are missing or not, and hash len means basically it will find out the length of the password. If it is greater than or equal to it will show as true or else false. So len is a function to find out whether the given string is, we need to find out the length of a string, we use len. Now that we created the boolean variables, let us initialize few if-else statements and know whether these are like classify whether he is following the given rules or not. So we need to include a string called special characters because we don't have any library to find out the special characters. So these are the special characters that we use in the daily life. So user should use any of the special character. So before this, we will be importing a model called random. So write import. So the reason we are using random is to generate some random alphabets and letters. Now you can see that. Now let us give some if-else conditions. You can see that I have gave some if-else condition. Before, you know that BASC holds the value where password has been entered by the user. Let us iterate by using the length. What happens here is we are going to iterate the length whole string, and we are going to store each character in the string the variable called c, and if it is following the rules which we have implemented, it converts the boolean variable to true before all are initialized as false. So you can see that for I in range length of pass, so basically range function uses to get a range between 0 to 5 or like that. So if the length of pass is 6, it will generate a range from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the position 0th character, we are going to store variable c. So at each iteration, I is going to change, and we are going to check whether each character is following rules or not. As we told you before, C dot is digit is basically sees whether the alphabet is containing, the string, the character in the string is following the rule is digit. Is digit knows whether if the given character is a digit or a alphabet. So if it is a digit, it will convert as num to true. So basically, our goal is to convert all hash num, hash up, and hash low, and hash special to true. So like this, is digit used to characterize whether it's an alphabet or a digit, and is upper says whether the given character is an uppercase or lowercase, and the same way is lower finds whether the given character is in lowercase or uppercase. And the same, as I told you before, we have created a special character string. Basically, it checks whether the given character is a part of the special characters. So in operator is used to see whether the given character is in the special character string. I'll show you the special character string that we have created. So in operator returns as a boolean variable and says whether if you have user entered a explanatory mark, it checks whether it is in this whole string, and it will also return a true or false. So if it also followed, it will return as special is equal to. So now let us keep an if condition, and we'll check whether what all conditions it passed and if it isn't passed, so we should say user that it is not working, so you choose another password which is following all these conditions. Now see, if you see that in the 163rd line I've initialized, I wrote a line which checks whether all the 6 features that are true or false. So hash num, you know that it follows dot is digit, and hash up sees dot is upper, and hash low is lower, and hash in it uses in operator to check whether it is a special string having a special character or not, and hash length checks whether it qualified the basic it's greater than or 8 length of the password. So after checking if it is successfully entered inside the box, we'll be showing a entry successful dialog box. You have seen many dialog box in your daily life. Basically, dialog box appears when you create an alert for a function. So to import this dialog box, before we have imported a widget known as queue message box. Queue message box helps us to create a dialog box. So dialog box appears as a pop-up whenever you submit some information in some forms. Basically, when you apply any engineering form, you can see that it gives a pop-up that are you confirmed that you are entering this website, like that. So to create a new message box, we need to create a object of it. So we are going to create a object of new message box and store in message box variable. So after that, we can set an icon called informative. It just creates an icon in the message box that I am going to show after running this application. So we are also going to set text because as it passed all these conditions, we should say the user that it is successful, or else we are also going to write an else statement where we are going to write entry is not successful because you're not going to follow, because you failed to follow this rule. So next thing is message.set window title. It will set a title like password manager. I'll show you in the GUI. Message.set standard buttons is basically creating OK and cancel buttons in the small box. Finally, it will return messagebox.exec. So to exit from it, we should just need to cancel and it will close the message box. Now let us run the application and see whether it's working or. So now let us run the application, write some username, keep the password as A, capital A, B, date, 00, hit submit. You can see a pop-up stating that it is successful. Now you can see that it showed entry successful. So we have completed first phase of project by completing the submit button. Now let us just integrate the database, and whenever it's showing the entry successful pop-up, we should just write the code. We need to add the values to the database. So let us write the code for the database. So before writing the code of database in the password.py, you can see that this is how we create and this is how we insert values. So let us write the code in the password.py, check whether it has been applied in the database. So this is how you wrote the code for the saving the values in the table pass. I'll show you. We have created a table named pass in the password.sql. So I have first connected the password.sqlite to the con. Now then I told that to execute, insert the values in the table name pass which I created before, and the reason that I wrote question marks here is I should pass all the 3 variables at a time. So I have created a tuple that holds multiple dynamic elements, and whenever I pass this task variable, it inserts the values in this table column name pass. So let us check if it is working, and let us check again in the database if we give the website name, and it should return all the user pass and Let us give the value. Now let us give the values as username as password as capital A, zero date. In the website, we'll give as Twitter, hit submit. And you can also see a, a successful option. Now you can click on OK and close the GUI. So let us check whether it has been applied in the database by typing website name Twitter and see if it returns the value as my name and the username which I have entered. We are successfully completed the submit button. Yeah, it worked. So you can see that it worked. I'll show you. So basically, I just gave the website name as Twitter, but it also returned the username and the passcode. So this is how you store the values in a database and retrieve in the GUI. So now let us focus on the search button, which helps to retrieve database. Now let us write the code for the search button. Initially, we have created a variable called PSET which holds the value of the passcode entered by the user, and W is the website name where user tries to retrieve the password for the particular website name. So we use this PSET to authenticate whether the user is trying to log in or not. So initially we have wrote a if statement which tries to authenticate by giving a default password as root. So you can change the root of any of your choice. So you can change this root and keep any other name, and you can authenticate the user. So after authentication of the username by the PSZ variable, we will be connecting to the database by using the con.sqlite3.connect password.sqlite, which we before created the database. So after that, we are going to initialize the cursor and we're going to now execute the command select star from PAS where web equals to the WE variable. So that is the reason we have created a WE variable which holds the website name. So before that, we have in the submit button, we have created a Twitter account, a Twitter entry where I have given the website name as Twitter, and it retrieved Yuvraj and the ABCDF, the password. So now let us try the same by seeing the submit button, the search button. If we try to give the Twitter website, if it is giving the Yuvraj and ABCDF, it should print the same. Now let us run the command. So to print, so there is a case where if user tries to upload the same website two times, so we are going to iterate rows and rows. So rows has the value of two. If in the worst case, if user enters two passwords for a Twitter account, it is going to store in a multi-dimensional array, and we are going to print by one row by another row using the for loop, and we are going to see that now. So let us run the code, and in the password, in the right side, you should enter the website name as Twitter, and passcode you should only write root, or else it will say it doesn't run. So we are also going to initialize a else statement where it authenticates whether it's right or wrong. If it is wrong, it's going to give a pop-up that the password, the code which you entered is wrong. So let us submit. So there is an error. So the reason it gave error is because we have wrote the table name wrong. So rename the table name as PASS. Now let us run the command. Create the terminal. Didn't run that. Now give the website name and passcode as, yeah, it worked now. It also returned Yuvraj and the password and the Twitter name. So this is how you fetch the data using the search button. Now, as we created a text area, we need to fill that. So let us print the same output in the search text. That The search button, it is a text area, so we'll fill this output and will the set text by using the set text command we are going to fill this area. So let us write the code for it. Now let us add this line of code where it basically where we are, as we have seen the print statement. So setText command used to display the output in the frame, I mean in the main window which we have created in the text area that at the search button place. So I just created a username and I've used /t to increase the tab space, and password and /n and /n are used to go to the next line. And now, as I told you before, it is going to make a multidimensional array. So I told only to show the latest input latest input that has been installed to the database. So -1 helps us to get the last element in the multidimensional array, and at the 0th position we are going to get the username. At the first position you are going to get the password. So as we in the database, I'm going to show in the database we have stored the column names as user, pass, and web. So in the same order we are also going to get the output, but without the website name. So let us run the file. Now let us give the website name as Twitter, password code as root, and let us search. See, it worked. We have username, password, and my username and the password. So this is how you retrieve data and show in a text area. Now let us write the else block of the search function. So whenever the user enters the wrong passcode of the search query, so he will be getting a warning stating wrong password and please try again. So to execute this, we need to use queueMessageBox that we have used in submit function. So let us write else, and as I told you before that queueMessageBox, so let us copy the same from the submit button and paste it here. So we will be first creating the object of queueMessageBox, and we are going to set icon, and now the only change is we are going to make it critical before it is informative. So in the submit button we are going to give some information to the user, but here we are going to say it's critical because user entered a wrong password. So later we will be adding setText command. So basically as we can print in the console also to display in the GUI itself, so we should use setText command to display our statement in the GUI. So we'll be stating wrong password, so please try again. So to cancel this dialog box we need to add OK button and cancel button. So let us run this application and see. So you can see the output, I mean the GUI. So let us enter Twitter and passcode as ROO. So it will trigger the else block. So let us click search, and now let us see. Oh yeah, it's working. So you can see that password manager is a title name and the wrong password please try again. So the icon which you have sent is critical, so that's the reason it showed as warning symbol. And you can also the OK and the cancel buttons. So now let us wrap up this search function and let us start writing the random password generator for the submit button. Now let me explain you the submit button first. So basically we first took the input from the user by using lineEdit.text. The .text is used to get the text from the user input, and later we created 4 boolean values, and we judged whether the given password is meeting the standards or not, and we used to we used dot is digit to check whether he used a number or not, and is upper for uppercase and lower for lowercase, and special characters by using in operator. So these conditions are important while we are using a random password. So after this we wrote if statement that checks whether all these conditions are correct or not. So later we created a message box and showed the password. And now you can see that I have created an else statement, and you can just now I have explained that how to generate the random password. And this is how you do that. Like, I mean, you will be using two while loops. You will be keeping an increment counter variable. At each iteration it counts the variable and chooses OR. By using ORD and random generator, we got the characters one by one, and we are change we have set a condition until less than 8. So this is the submit function as a whole. Now let us see the search function. In the search function, we have the first thing is we'll check whether the passcode written is correct or not. If it is wrong, it will be going to execute the else statement. So in the if statement, if it is correct, as the user enters the website, and we are going to store in the we variable. So we are going to pass this to the SQLite query, and it is going to fetch, and we are going to display in the text edit that we have created. Or else, if the passcode which entered is wrong, we are just going to print the wrong password. Please try again. So this is as a whole summary of the both submit and search button. Now let us write the code for the random password generator. So first import the random module at the top, as I imported before. Now let us go to the submit button and write the else block after this if statement. So this if statement, we are going to check whether he followed all the rules. So if in case if he didn't follow, let us write else. Now the goal is to generate random passwords either using the keyword given by the user or randomly generated alphabets. So as in the both cases we need a special character, so make a special variable as a name. You can create any variable name, and let us copy the special characters that we have declared before, paste it here. Now let us make a string called suggest. Initialize a variable I and give an initial increment as 0. So our goal is to generate at least 4 random passwords for the given keyword or in random generated alphabets. So I less than 4 will be the outer while loop, and the inner while loop will be the length of the password. So I have told you before, the length of the password should be greater than 8. So len of password is basically key. So if the user entered keyword as greater than 8 characters, we are going to just add the remaining characters such as numbers, uppercase and lowercase, or else key will be given as a double quote, I mean the empty string. So it depends on the user. If user gives a string, we are going to generate random password using the string, or else we are going to give an initial, I mean double quotes, and we are going to add it. So that's the reason length of key less than 8. So basically at each iteration we are going to increase the key length. So if it is 8, it's going to get outside the loop, and I will be incremented by 1. So totally we'll get 4 random passwords. So let us write key equals to key plus char of random dot rand int. So randint is basically it can generate integers between a range. So a range is basically ORD of a comma. So I mean character a and ORD of character set. So ORD is to convert an alphabet to a numerical value. So it's going to give an ASCII value for an alphabet. So after that, let us come out from the inner while loop and let us concat key by adding str of random dot rand int. Now let us give an range of numbers. So our first condition satisfies in the length of the key should be less than 8. I mean, after less than 8 only it will be adding to the suggest variable. So for sure it will be greater than 8. And the next condition is adding at least one number to the password, suggested password. So random.randint will generate any number between 0 to 9, that is only integers. So randint is used to generate integers. So after that we're going to write key plus equals to str of random dot choice. So here we use choice because to take any particular particular character in a string or any array. So as we created a variable called special, it's going to take any of the character in the whole special characters randomly. So we are going to pass that variable here. Now let us make the first letter as capitalize. So key dot capitalize. So capitalize is going to make the first letter as capitalize. So now let us append to the suggested one. So as I created a variable called suggest, so at the end of the 4 iterations its length is going to be 4. I mean 4 suggested password. So suggest plus equals to key plus the next line. So rather creating 4 variables, I am like the algorithm works by concatenating all the 4 characters by line. So we are going to use slash n so that at each iteration it's going to go to the next line, and finally increase the I. So I equal to I plus 1 or I plus equals to 1 are both same. So the same logic I have used for key plus equal to str. So this is the algorithm for generating random password. Now small spelling mistake. Now let us add few message box. So to show whether these are correct or not, I mean, see, after generating the random password, we need to show the output in a message box which we have created in the submit button as well as in the search button. So we're going to make again a queue message box object, and we're going to just copy the suggest one and paste it there. So as I told you, suggest will have all the top 4 passwords that we have generated using random password. Now as we created a variable called suggest, now let us show this variable with some rules and regulations, like what are the rules that we have met to get the random password in a queue message box as the same. So make the object of queue message box and set icon as information and set window title, and now keep a set text command whenever, as else statement will only trigger when the user enter password is doesn't matching the standards. Now let us, as I told you, we'll be giving some rules I wrote in a string. I'll copy that. You can see that what I wrote is basically your password should meet the conditions. So the basic rules: at least one uppercase, lowercase, at least one number, and at least one special character, and at least 8 characters. So we will be using two more new things that is known as set detailed text. So as I made a string to show this in a detailed text in the queue message box, we are going to use two new modules. So to use that, so this is the syntax for that. So this is common for every queue message box. OK and cancel, and later set informative text is to set the suggested passwords, and set detailed text is used to show the rules and regulations that we followed to meet the condition. So set detailed text and set informative text. These two are the important things that we need to show when we are doing the queue message box. So let us run this application and see whether it's working or not. You can see that. Let us give the username as, but this time, first time we'll give the password as wrong standards, like just write the username as my password also. Let us click the submit button. Now you can see that a pop-up box came and it said the random password by using the random password generator, it generated 4 passwords which met the standards, and the one which I told to see the details of the rules which we followed, you should click the hide details, and if you click on the show details it will appear. These are the rules, and now this is the passwords that we have used. Now you can take any of this password and use this as the password and it will bypass the rules. Now we'll use the keyword option given. Now we'll generate passwords using the keyword. Now let us give the keyword as, let us hit the submit button. Now you can see that it used my keyword UV and it generated 4 new random passwords. So I think you understood how we did the random password using the keyword and without the keyword. So this is how we generate the random passwords. So let us wrap up this session by explaining both search and submit functions in a way like you can just revision the submit and search like what we did in the summary.